on the flexibility account. Is there anyone here for that public hearing? Okay, go ahead and close that.
Nothing online either.
Nothing online for that one? Okay, we'll go ahead and close that hearing then. Next, we'll open the public hearing for the property tax notice. Are there any individuals here for the property tax notice hearing? Yes? Okay. We'll have you go ahead and come up to the podium when you're ready to... Oh, well, if you'd like a minute, that's okay. Okay. Hi, and sorry, I was in the back finishing up some work. Oh, okay. Okay. So thank you, Trisha, for coming tonight. Oh, I like your shirt. Go ahead. We ask that you just keep your comments to 3 minutes. So I'll just be kind of keeping track of time, but please go ahead and let us know your thoughts about the property tax notice.
Okay. My name is Patricia Higby. I live at 718 Blue Jay Court in Tiffin. I am very distressed by the change in our legislators' priorities, where they prefer to give state funding to private rather than public schools, leaving it up to us as local people to fund our public schools. As you can tell by my hair, I've been around for a while, and I know you get what you pay for. If we want good schools, we have to pay for them. If you want good roads, you have to pay for them. And so I accept the fact that we will have to raise our property taxes if we want to continue to have excellent schools. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Well, thank you.
Any questions?
No, I don't think so. Thank you. We appreciate your support of public schools. Okay, anybody else here to speak about the property tax notice? Okay, then the public hearing on the property tax notice is closed. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Lori, could you do a roll call, please?
Abdurrahman?
Here.
Casey?
Here.
Rick?
Here.
Allison?
Here.
Nick?
Here.
Gabe?
Here.
Braden?
Here.
And can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. Before we get into student and staff recognition, I do have one announcement tonight. We have 2 closed sessions on the agenda. And so for any in attendance, and especially for those online, during closed session, we will be going to a different part of the building as the board and some other members who are present. During that time, the live stream will be paused. A slide will be put up to say that we're in closed session, and the sound will be muted. So if you're still here and having conversations, that will not be broadcast on the live stream during that portion. We'll go ahead and move into the fun part of the night, the most fun, all of it's fun, the student and staff recognition.
So every month we nominate, our staff nominates students and staff of the month. So we have elementary, middle school, and high school. And we're excited to announce our winners for this month. I would like to invite up Brooklyn Benz as our elementary student of the month. And she was nominated by Heather Garrett. Heather's going to read her nomination of Brooklyn.
All right. Brooklyn is passionate about doing her best in the classroom. She works hard every day, participates in discussions, and is always willing to work with anyone in the classroom as a partner. You can't see it right now, but she has the best smile that warms everybody's heart. Above all, she's the kindest student. She genuinely wants our entire class to do well, and from the first day, she's been the best cheerleader for 3G. She comes in every day ready to tackle whatever we're going to learn with a positive attitude and a dedication to learning. Her kindness, genuine love of learning, and ability to make anyone smile is the cornerstone of our classroom. Most of all, she is a leader every day. She finds the best in everyone, has compassion and empathy for any situation, and writes with her whole heart. I am so happy to nominate and have you win Student of the Month for Oak Hill.
All right, now we're gonna move on to our middle school Student of the Month, Jacob Hart. Jacob, you wanna come on up? Jacob was nominated by Alicia Miskell and Jen Fox, and they were not able to attend, so I'm gonna read their nomination. Jacob consistently strives to know more and to further his learning. He actively participates in our Building Thinking Mathematics classroom by explaining his reasoning while also listening to the reasoning of his partners. He does not settle with his learning, rather he seeks to collaborate with other groups and understand how they got to their answers. Mrs. Fox noted that she has had lunch duty twice a week, and Jacob's kindness and his respect of adults and peers is unmatched. In class, Jacob consistently goes out of his way to include all students in his group and holds them to high standards. He is patient, kind, and demonstrates leadership qualities. Jacob is deserving of Student of the Month based on his pursuit of academics and his model student behavior. Jacob embodies what it means to be a leader and a clipper. Congratulations. All right, our high school Student of the Month, Jace Norpel, is not here, but Sam Bowles is going to read his nomination.
Yes, and I, full disclosure, did not nominate Jace myself, but it's a well-deserved honor, and I would have nominated him had I nominated somebody this month. So I am one of the band directors at the high school, and I just want to talk a little bit about Jace's involvement in band. He exemplifies hard work and dedication through his participation in instrumental music. He's a very talented percussionist. He participates in our Audition to Win ensemble. He's done that all 4 years of high school. This year as the principal player, which is essentially first chair. He consistently goes above and beyond, participating in multiple honor bands. He did the SEBA District Honor Jazz Band this year, as well as honor bands on consecutive weekends at Iowa State, UNI, and University of Iowa, all back to back to back with different music, different instruments, very challenging music. He also has auditioned for many honor bands, such as the SEBA High School Honor Band and Iowa All-State Band, which requires putting in many hours of practice preparation to get ready for those auditions. As far as his involvement in the Clipper Marching Band, which takes place in the fall, of course, he was the center snare drum player this year, which is a pivotal role in helping keep everyone together, which is an important role in a group of 120 people. He played synthesizer in the front ensemble for the 2 years before that, and every year he showed really strong leadership skills, good communication skills. And then, of course, his involvement in our jazz department has been excellent. He has played piano in the high school jazz ensemble for the last 3 years, and he plays multiple solos. He had a feature tune this year, and perhaps most impressive out of all of these vast accomplishments is he has auditioned for the past 2 years for the Iowa All-State Jazz Band on a different instrument entirely. He plays piano in our high school jazz band. He auditioned on the vibraphone for the All-State Jazz Band and has been accepted to that group both years. This year as they have a 1A, 2A group, a 3A group, and a 4A group. And so this year, being our first year in 4A, he was selected for that ensemble. That is an enormous accomplishment. The All-State Jazz Band is made up of the very finest high school jazz musicians in the state. So a huge congratulations to Jace. He will perform with that group in May as part of the annual Iowa Bandmasters Conference in Des Moines. So he's finishing his high school career strong. So in short, very proud of Jace and all the work he's done with our band department and beyond. He's very involved in a lot of things at school and is a great, great student.
All right, now we're gonna start with our staff. From Clear Creek Elementary, I'd like to invite up Tessa Stevens, and she was nominated by Megan Johnson.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to read what I wrote for my nomination. I nominated Tessa because she consistently goes above and beyond in her classroom responsibilities to positively impact our school community. Ms. Stevens is deeply committed in creating meaningful opportunities for students both inside and outside the classroom. This year, she took the initiative to start an elementary student council, giving younger students a voice and the chance to develop leadership skills. Through this program, students have learned about teamwork, responsibility, and service. One example of the impact was a winter can drive organized by the student council, and students created posters to advertise the event and even visited the classrooms to collect the donations and to talk about it. This project not only helped families in need, but also taught the students the value of community service and compassion. In addition to leading the student council, Tessa dedicates her time each spring to help with the building yearbook, ensuring that students and families have a special way to remember the school year. Her willingness to contribute to school-wide activities demonstrates her dedication to making our school a positive and connected community. Many students rave about Ms. Stevens and the positive support environment she creates. She builds strong relationships with her students and inspires them to be confident, kind, and engaged learners. I just know from being in 4th grade, and when they come up to me, they all love her. So I am nervous to talk in front of everybody. I usually talk in front of 4th graders. But they love her, they rave about her, they make me want to be a better teacher by listening to those stories. So I wanted to nominate Tessa because she is a young teacher. She's been teaching 3 years? 3 years, yeah. And I'm just impressed with her skill and the initiative that she takes.
All right. Our middle school staff of the month, Claire Schwarting, please come on up. Claire was nominated by Sarah Conrad. Sarah was unable to make it tonight, so I'm going to read your nomination. This is what Sarah had to say. She says, she is always willing to help with anything in the building and for anyone. She has helped me tremendously this year, and I cannot thank her enough. She has great ideas for improvement and is very innovative when it comes to helping meet students' needs. Claire always has a smile on her face and is always kind and caring to everyone. She goes out of her way to help her students in any way she can. She wants the best for them, and she is over the moon excited and happy when they succeed. She puts her whole heart into her job. Congratulations. All right, and then our high school staff of the month, Sarah Linder. And Sarah was nominated by a team of people she works with, and Thad Barker is here to read the nomination.
I'm one person, but I am representing the entire special ed department at the high school. So for several years now, Sarah has served as a representative for the special education department on the building leadership team at the high school. As most people in the district know, our department has been under scrutiny over the last couple of years. As the leader of our department, Sarah has done an incredible job of guiding us through this temporary storm. Due to her leadership, our department is stronger than ever. Sarah has taken on this leadership role on top of the ever difficult job of being a special education teacher. The job of a special education teacher is demanding and challenging, and Sarah handles it with calm and compassion. Our department is in a good spot and will continue to improve with Sarah's ability to lead. Sarah conducts her work at Clear Creek Amana High School with the highest amount of integrity. She deeply cares about her students and their success. Sarah is also a cheerleader for CCA, never missing out on an opportunity to display her school spirit. Our building is a better place because of Sarah Linder.
Anybody that received a nomination, if you want to come this way, we got to take a quick picture and then go from there.
You did last time, so Brayden.
I did last time too. I'm
Okay,
out.
so Brayden.
I gotta finish eating.
Me, I guess.
I gotta finish eating.
You wanna go? You wanna go?
If you want to do it. You're right. You're right there.
Okay.
I might sneak in like Casey.
So, Alice
All right,
said that I
everybody
should
look
leave
over
after
here.
I give my report.
Ready? Awesome. Congratulations.
Parents can come up closer if you want.
Yeah, you wanna get that?
How did you know?
We've had to recreate pictures
Yeah.
many times.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congrats, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
And if you are here for recognition and would like to leave, we completely understand. Excuse me. Okay. So we'll go into community public comments. I don't see any online, right? So we don't have any? Okay. Then moving on to presentations then. Up first for presentations tonight, we have Ms. Stoll to present on Tiffin Elementary and the Clipper Early Learning Academy. Hi, welcome. And I guess this might be the first time you're in front of some of our new board members, so.
Yes.
Stall, new
And
board
I
members.
apologize, I have a terrible cold, so.
That's okay.
Hi, I'm Stacy Stoll. I'm the principal at Tiffin Elementary and at the Clipper Early Childhood Learning Center. So, first I'm gonna talk about Tiffin Elementary. We are a K-1 building. We've got about 186 students, might be a little bit more. I think we've got a new one this week. Right now, 87 in kindergarten and 96 in first grade. We are technically a title school. We're about a little over 40% free and reduced, and over 25% actually of our students are ELL. I was going over my presentation before I came tonight and rewriting the numbers, make sure I was right. I'm actually a little low on a couple of those. So we do have 21 certified staff members in my building, 9 classroom teachers, 4 special teachers that are served with, or they're shared with Oak Hill, 2 interventionists for like academics, a couple of special ed teachers, a couple of ELL teachers, a counselor that I'm currently sharing with Oak Hill, and 1 instructional coach. Our numbers for the year, you can look here, these are our early or fast early reading. It's the test, the screener that my students take 3 times a year. So they've taken the fall and the winter one. The first numbers listed there are just our building total. So in the fall we were at 50% proficient on the reading portion of the test and 61% proficient this winter. That's as the building. The next numbers you see are kindergarten. You'll see they went from 60% to 77%. We're so excited about that. And first grade got a little work to do still. We started a little lower at 42%, but we did see a raise in their scores up to 46. This is just a quick snapshot of the tests that they take during these screeners, and you can see they don't actually take the same 4 tests each time, so the target's always a little bit moving for us, but we do like to look at the growth. So you can see just real quickly the letter sounds, we saw some good growth there. Onset sounds would be like the beginning sounds of words, and then nonsense words is one that we really kind of pay a lot of attention to, and that's the one that tells us, can they sound out a word, can they attack those words with the skills that they've learned. And kindergarten's at 73% already, so that's pretty cool. And then of course word segmenting is, can they hear all the sounds in a word? Because it's very important for when they start to spell. You know, if they can hear all the sounds, then they can put it all on their paper. This is first grade, so you see again just a different range of tests. First grade has a little bit more focus on like sight words, and sight words aren't those words that you just know by sight. They're actually words that are kind of hard to attack, and we have to teach them how to attack those kind of hard words. And so you can see we do have some growth there. That's one of our focuses this year with first grade is getting that sight word recognition up. Again, they've got word segmenting. The nonsense words are on there as well. A big thing for first grade at the end of the year will be what's called the CBM, which is that 1 minute to read, see how many words they can get in a minute. So got some work to do there. So our goal for reading this year, just at Tiffin, was to have 70% of our kindergarten and our first graders at benchmark by the end of the year. And if you remember from the first couple slides, we were at 61% as a building, so we just have a little tiny bit to go, but we're going to push hard to try to get there. All right, so fast math, similar, it's just about math. Our numbers are a little higher though here in math. As you can see, we're a little stronger there. And it's in backward order, I don't know how I did that, but I did it. So the building's at the very far end, and you can see we went from 71% in the fall to 74% this winter. And then you can see the 2 grade levels there. First grade from 66 to 73, that's great growth. Kindergarten had a little bit of a dip, and again, I'll show you here in the next slide. Their test is also a test that the target's always kind of moving, but they did really well, and something I want to point out on the decomposing. That's it. That's the skill if they know like 8 is made of 5 and 3. Can they decompose that number appropriately? So we've got some good news there. And then first grade, there's again, just the different tests that they have to do each time, 3 tests instead of 4. And the new concept on their winter is that place value. And so that's a thing that we have been working pretty hard on here lately. So we hope to see some good improvement in that in the spring. And then of course the other new thing that's big in first grade is story problems. So we're working on those as well. So what, sorry, I was about skipped ahead here. Math, our goal, since we were already a little higher, we made this goal a little different. We made it 80% of students in kindergarten and first grade will score at or above benchmark. And if you remember a few slides ago, our building was at 74. So we're very close to meeting that goal as well. So what else are we doing to kind of meet our goals? This year, we are, some of you will remember from last year, I was so excited to start U-Fly. Well, we've been doing U-Fly this year and we are still excited about it. We've done a full, this is our full year of implementation across both grade levels. As you saw in kindergarten, we're seeing some really good gains there. And then of course, first grade's doing that greater focus on sight words. If you come to my building, or have rented my gym, you've probably seen sight words everywhere. We make games, we do all kinds of things. And then we've actually, you know how education can be a little cyclical? We've reintroduced the calendar routine back into elementary math. It's just helping with some of that rote memorization and rote counting and knowing the days of the week and the months of the year and that kind of stuff. So that's been pretty positive as well. All right, one thing we did also this year was our Title I family reading night. It's a requirement for being a Title I school. We're super excited to report that we had 20% of our families come, about 38 families. That's super exciting. They were offered 6 sessions to choose from for their learning while we kind of babysat and watched the kids. The parents could have their own learning. They could do some fluency, science of reading, what is U-Fly, which is, by the way, I kind of breezed over that. It's a University of Florida reading or literacy institute is what it is. It comes from that. Our ELL teachers provided some multilingual things and number writing and addition and subtraction. We also did a new thing this year, a book swap, so kids could bring in some of their older books and swap out for a different book. So it was kind of fun. Here's a couple pictures. Oops, no. First, this is a smart cookies thing that we've been doing in our cafeteria for our kiddos just to see, where we are with our growth. They can tell that there's less cookies on a certain plate. So, and our kindergartners are pretty bright when they notice that they had more cookies on their plate than the first grade. So, here's some pictures from the family literacy night. 2 of my brand new teachers there, Anne and Rachel, dressed up as Anna and Elsa to try to build a little fun around the evening for the kids. You can see my library there is all packed full, and then a couple pictures of some of the sessions of the teachers. Another popular thing, next fall, if you're bored around homecoming and want to see the cutest parade on earth, come to Tiffin Elementary. We do a little homecoming parade of our own. We have the middle school cheerleaders come. They all do their own little red wagon float. It is so cute. I just wanted to promote that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then these are just some cute pictures of Tiffin because I really, with K1, have the cutest kids ever. There's the 50th day of school. We did a sock hop that day and dressed up in our 50s outfits, which little girls look like me that day. And then we just had some fun Grinch days around Christmas. And then we had the 100th day of school, and these are just some little ones dressed as old people. That one there in the middle actually had a cane and was walking with a crick. He was so cute. Okay, so that's Tiffin. Any questions on Tiffin? I'm trying to go fast and know your agenda's long. So now we'll transition to the Clipper Early Childhood Center, or CCE. Tiffin Elementary has a small staff, but they have an even smaller staff, but they're pretty mighty. We serve or use the 4-year-old statewide voluntary preschool grant, which allows kiddos who are 4 by September 15th to come to a half-day preschool program 4 days a week. Right now we have 109 students, 52 in the morning and 57 in the AM, served by 5 ECSE teachers That stands for Early Childhood Special Ed. That means they can teach both regular preschool and our special ed kiddos. Because we also accept 3-year-old kiddos who have IEPs in the early access program. So we do have a number of 3-year-olds as well, but they have to be on an IEP. Preschool's a little different. We don't do all the testing and all that. So what our teachers do is they collect data during academic times and during play. It's called Gold. I didn't print any out or try to capture any screenshots because it's kind of intricate and hard to follow. This is my first year as a preschool person, and so I'm still kind of learning about it. But they look at social, emotional, physical, language literacy, math, science, social studies, and the arts. And they just kind of, if a kiddo can line their blocks up in order or come up with a pattern, it's some of those things they can check off on the Gold data. And we do use it at the end of the year for our kindergarten readiness. Here's just some pictures of the ceremony. And there's, I don't know if you can see in that center one, Miss Emily is, they're all rating which book they like the best that week. And it was the same fairy tales told different ways. And so you can see the middle one there is the one that they were thinking was the most best. So social emotional, they're also working on, besides all the academic stuff, they're also working on social emotional skills. So we use second step curriculum for like problem solving. We also have weekly social skills focused like turn taking, how to share. They practice it together and then they get little stars if they do that, if our teacher observes it. And then this year also our whole preschool staff was trained or retrained in PBIS for meals. So that's been fun. And seeing the teachers kind of implement some of the things. PBIS is positive behavior interventions and supports. Quite a few of our elementary schools use it. So it's a good transition from preschool to the rest. We've also partnered with Springmeyer Library, and the librarian there has come over quite a few times to read stories to the kids. She leaves books, gets them excited about different themes. Whew, last one, I promise. What's coming up for preschool is we have our graduation, May 26th at the Performing Arts Center. More information if you're a preschool parent coming soon. And then the big exciting news for me is that preschool is actually moving back to Tiffin Elementary next year. So this summer, they'll be moving back to my building, which will be great. We can just all be under one building and not have to run back and forth between the two. We're super excited about that. The building is ready to accept them. Any questions?
My only one question I had, you're doing U-Fly, but still doing Super Kids too in your building?
No, I didn't put that on the slide. We're also, we're not, no, because U-Fly replaces Super Kids.
Got it.
But we're also piling, I don't know if Christine will be talking about this next, the CKLA.
Okay, I saw that in there and I was wondering, okay, but she can talk about, okay.
Yeah, I didn't, yeah, sorry, I was trying to go fast.
No, you're good, thanks for going fast.
So.
Yeah, you did perfect. I was just like, I think some buildings were doing a
We're the combo.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So the U-Fly is for like the skills portion, so like the how to read part.
Yeah.
And then the CKLA part is the comprehension and writing, so. Yeah. Okay, any questions?
Thanks, Lisa.
All right, thank you so
much. Very impressive increases in those testing things.
Oh, I know, it's
yeah.
really close.
Okay, oh good, you're on the way up, great. All right, and I think everyone's met you before, yep, okay.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me here tonight. I just wanted to start kind of with my why, kind of my core belief, and that is that I'm all about curriculum instruction and assessment, but more importantly, all students deserve to learn at high levels, and I always believe that, and I feel like I do whatever I can to ensure that, and that's through our wonderful teachers, and they deserve to have those resources to be able to provide our kids that guaranteed and viable curriculum. So I'm so excited, all the things that we're doing, and it's gonna really help point us all in the same direction for next year too. So in other words, it shouldn't matter which building or which teacher a student has, they're all gonna have that fantastic experience because we've got amazing people here. I kind of organized mine around sort of a table of contents, so I won't really spend time reading this slide because you'll see those little bubbles again. But I have like 8 big rocks that I have really thought about. Some days you go home and you go, wow, what did I do today? And then you really start thinking and it's like, okay, a lot of different things today. The first one I'm gonna start with is Mr. Davidson organized a really unique and fantastic directors and administrators once a month we get together. And it has just been really, really cool. So that's all our central office directors, it's our building principals, assistant principals, deans, and so on. And we've been able to do some professional learning together. And this is just kind of a list of some of the things that we've done. We just want to recalibrate some of those things as a district as we have gotten bigger. And it's just been fantastic to be able to collaborate with that team. Good. Too fast. There we go. The next one is that I do is such a big part of my life is collaborating with our building principals. And I work with Mr. Moody, our director of schools. So we're in constant contact. And then I also attend all of our regular elementary and secondary principal meetings. And that's fantastic to keep that communication line open and support when needed. And then another big thing that I do is I support instructional coaches, our PLC facilitators, and our mentoring induction program. I meet with our instructional coaches bi-weekly. I said that wrong up there. Yeah, it should say bi-weekly because it's not bi-monthly. We meet several times a month. We also help to support those new teachers through our mentoring and induction program. And then we also have our PLC leaders that are fantastic for helping with our professional learning that we have across the district. Here we go. Supporting teachers and all things curriculum. This year it has felt like a really heavy year of staying on top of all of the standards updates, the legislative updates. That feels like that consumes a lot of my time right now. But the best part of my job is focusing on that guaranteed and viable curriculum. And that's what's been really cool is Stacy has 2 of her kindergarten teachers piloting the CCA, fantastic things. And I'll talk a little bit more and have a couple pictures coming up. But that's just been a fantastic thing that I really see that that's going to help point us in the right direction. We've done work on our report cards. We have a little more of that to get done, and we have a timeline. We'll have the rest of those updated by next year. And I have been involved in supporting the high school with their ESSA support needs and really more the behind the scenes kind of things with the professional learning, helping to support and arrange for the professional learning that they needed. And the next one, number 5, is teacher leader and compensation plan. That's been kind of a big thing this year. Once upon a time, that was a grant. It's now a categorical fund, Lori, if I'm saying that right. I think I am, yeah. Right. Categorical fund. We had not updated that since we have grown so much. And one of the goals is to have about 25% of our staff have leadership opportunities. So we made some updates, and now we kind of did a reset. No longer called PLC facilitators, we have lead teachers. We still have our instructional coaches and have made just a couple tweaks to some of those too. So we're really in the throes of that, getting it organized right now, but it's been really exciting to see the leadership. I spent a day with Mr. Paulson yesterday interviewing all of his lead teachers. Amazing, authentic learning I did from hearing all of those teachers. So it was a really cool experience. Another big one, obviously, is our strategic plan, our annual goals. That's a big thing. So I'm going to start with literacy. So like Stacy's goals that she just talked about, you know what, they kind of feed into this too. So this is kind of the bigger picture. So how we wrote our district goals was that they would increase by 3% per grade level. Some of our grade levels were above 80%, some are below, and we knew that. We wanted to make sure everybody's growing, whether they're high or if they're a little bit lower. So ISASP is our state test that we take once a year. We monitor our growth through our MAP growth test, and so that's in the blue box. We started in the fall at almost 81%, and we're over 81% in the winter, so that gives us some confidence. Now, we do have to desegregate that and look at our grade levels, and that's what this is really good for. With our early literacy, we do have to use FastBridge for our screener. And like Stacy said, holy cow, we grew almost 7% from fall to winter. And it is directly a result of the work that our teachers are doing with our YouFly. It's just fantastic. And first grade, they have further to go, but you know what? They grew almost 7% too. So I'm really excited with the direction this is going. Let's see here, one more. Oh, I'm sorry, second grade, we do a different assessment, just slightly. It's still in FastBridge, but it's the fluency measure. And so that looks just a little bit different, so I pulled that out separately too. And we're definitely growing. And so K1 too has got some work to do, but they are doing it. I mentioned the pilot, Stacy mentioned the pilot. This happens to be some pictures from first grade at Clear Creek Elementary. And first grade teachers their first unit was on the human body. The work these children could do was amazing. The words they could use and actually internalize, it's fantastic. So kind of really rich with science, social studies, and all of that. So I think it's been pretty exciting, and I did get kind of a feedback update from, we have 2 buildings in second grade doing it, and I got some really good feedback from those buildings today as well. So things are going in the right direction with that. Math, I'll go through these kind of quickly too, sort of the same story where we wrote our goal to increase 3% per grade level. We're about the same in math from fall to winter. We do have a really strong resource, but we are gonna make sure that we don't rest on our laurels, that we're pretty good. We're actually doing sort of a reset in our upcoming April Professional Development Day. We just wanna make sure all of our new staff and everybody is on the same page with that. So want to keep being good, not just get great, not just be good. So we're excited for that upcoming PD. And then here's a look at our K1-2 data. And then science. This has been kind of fun to see the growth with science. We only administer an ISASP and math growth to grades 5, 8, and 10. That's the requirement for the state. And so we do monitor those, and as a district, fantastic, we're over 85% at our winter testing. And then district professional learning. This year, I've been able to kind of link arms with Lynn Kleinmeyer from Grantwood AEA. She is a universal design for learning guru. She loves it and gets everybody around her really excited. And she has been able to provide some learning opportunities for our instructional coaches, our new teachers, which led to some coaching cycles. They were anxious to learn more and wanted her to come visit. So really great stuff. And now just the tip of the iceberg with our district administrators. We have talked about that a couple months now too in that combined meeting that we have. So that's been really fun, and we think that there's more to come. And in a nutshell, universal design for learning is really all about removing barriers the first time you teach. So it's pretty cool. Compliance and connections, that feels like sometimes the biggest part of my job, but we had an incredibly huge universal desk audit this year that required a lot of intricate details, and we got it, we're good. I was thrilled when that happened. Been working with Kale on some ADA accessibility, some pretty big rocks that we're gonna have to deal with for this upcoming year, but it's good because it's all about access for our families, for our kids. And just a few other things that I worked through. Lots of standards updates. The social studies standards were just updated in January. We've got some work to do there. Just for your information, the ISASP assessment is going to be a little bit different. We'll still give that in April, but we won't have data back until this upcoming fall. It's a new test. They have to norm it over the summer. They're going to have a different scale rather than the three points. Basically, it's going to be they'll add one more category for how students will achieve. So more to come on that as soon as I learn more. And again, monitoring legislative updates seems to be a big part of my day. Any questions? Okay.
CKLA, I heard about it in
Yes.
North Bend. So is it first grade at Tiffin Elementary and second grade at other buildings, or?
Yeah, so right now I have kindergarten at Tiffin Elementary, I have first grade at Clear Creek Elementary, and then I have second grade at Oak Hill and North Bend.
Okay, I've heard good stuff about it, so.
Yep, so far so good,
Okay.
so we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, up next we have middle school, high school project updates. So I believe Tandy, and we'd like Ray to come up as well and introduce Ray to the board. And Tandy, have you met all the new board members?
I don't think I've met in person.
I
think
can't
we
keep up
had
with
a virtual meeting.
We did, yeah.
Okay,
We
yes.
did.
Okay.
Hello,
So
I'm Tandy in person. Nice to meet everybody today.
yeah. And Ray, would you mind introducing yourself? Some of us know you.
I've been with Clear Creek Amana for
number of years. I can contest to that.
We were both much younger when we did the first projects at North Bend Elementary. I know I was a lot younger. I don't know about you, but I was for sure a lot younger. You look the same. That's the benefit. You're looking great. Well, I'm here today to give an update. We did submit drawings a couple of weeks ago to the district for review. This was our 90% set. And we have been continuing to work on it, so it already looks a lot more developed today than it does from the few weeks ago. We make a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And so any questions you have, I will definitely take. I'm going to give you a quick update. I asked the team to give me updates on their status of their work, and so I'm going to just read that to keep myself on task. So our project is wrapping up the construction documents phase, and we're completing all details of design, preparing our documents that will include drawings, specifications, bidding forms, all the fun procedures and contracts that need to be used between the contractor and the district. We've had more meetings with the school district to review technology requirements. We had meetings with Kale and buildings and ground staff, talked through phasing requirements with the district principals, Maury as well as Ray, and helped identify responsibilities between the district and the contractor during construction. And then the rest of our time is really spent fully developing our drawings so they can be submitted to bid. We will be submitting a set of review plans to Maury and Ray at the end of this week. Probably we'll get that next week, but we finish our documents for that submission at the end of this week. And then our civil team is working on finalizing, well, all teams, I'll just say this because they put it all, each person put it on here, working on finalizing plans, details, and specifications. And then the civil team is updating comments from our meetings that we had with Maury, Seth, Tyler, and Ray. And then they completed a follow-up review of their stormwater requirements with the city engineer, and we'll be submitting a final report to them. And they also have to do some permitting that is part of the stormwater management process for projects, so they have to complete that process still before the project wraps up. The structural team has been just, finishing up their details basically and coordinating openings and other critical elements that are kind of final to the project. Mechanical team, they are finalizing utility coordination between all of our different engineering trades and site constraints, and dealing with complications that are always present with storm shelters and having to coordinate all of the openings that go through that fun concrete box. And then they have a lot of details that go into specifying the equipment that they're working on right now. And the last thing that they're doing is finalizing the geothermal field layout. There's a lot of geothermal wells out there, and they're just making sure that they are getting it coordinated and putting it into the appropriate locations. Our electrical team is finalizing their systems. They are working on circuiting and working on connections to mechanical equipment, and then working through the connections to existing building systems. And then they also have to go through the fund coordination of the storm shelter. And for our architectural team, we are working on finalizing our plans, details, and specs, including our exterior and interior details, demolition details, ceiling information, and walls and roofs. We are also finalizing roof replacement work. We are doing a roof replacement at the middle school, majority of the blue roof, not all of it, but the majority of it that you see when you drive by, that's getting replaced as part of this project, and we're finishing the details of that. And we're finalizing code review plans that have to be complete in order to submit to the city. We met with the district on phasing, so we have to create a document for that so the contractor can understand all of the timelines associated with the project. And then updating our front end contract documents from our meetings that we had with Lori and district administration. That is in legal counsel right now. They're reviewing that contract that we will end up putting into our documents that the school district signs with the contractor. So they're getting all that language done. And then our next steps is really to complete a comprehensive quality review of our set of documents. We'll use the same set we give to Maury and Ray, and we will review that internally, and we'll have staff that go through that, make sure it's meeting district standards, and that we've incorporated other lessons learned from past projects. So that is our next step over the next couple of weeks, and then it goes to the plan houses once you guys approve it to go out to bid at the next board meeting in April. So that is the next big thing that's going to happen on April 15th. We have a schedule that we handed out. I've got hard copies if you guys would like hard copies. Sometimes it's easier to see in the paper format. This is a very broad overview, I will say, of what is actually a relatively complicated phasing plan that we have for the project. For those who have been involved for a long time, they know this project has been in the works for a lot of years. It requires moving parts to get the whole thing to happen because we are renovating some of the existing spaces, but we have to first build the new spaces before we can renovate those spaces. So it's a phased project because of those reasons. But as I had stated before, we're going to bring the project to you guys, the completed project on April 15th, and hopefully you guys are able to submit that, approve to submit that for bids, and then we will send those out to the contractors and plant houses. The next major thing that we have on here is a pre-bid meeting that is not mandatory, but contractors are invited to a pre-bid meeting. And then we receive bids on May 14th, and then you guys will then consider those bids. Hopefully it comes in great, and you consider those bids and award the project on May 20th. And then the next really exciting date, because that's all kind of mundane stuff, is June 2nd. That is when construction will start. We will start to see the contractor mobilize at that time, and the building additions will start construction. So they'll start digging into the ground, moving utilities, that kind of stuff. The building additions will continue construction all the way through the year, and we anticipate those being complete by July 16th of 2027. So just over a year to complete the building additions at both the middle school and high school. If the contractor gets done early, great, but we are giving them to July 16th. Then we are doing a little bit of interior work in this first summer. There's some things happening in the existing buildings with utility connections that have to get done so that we don't disrupt students during the school year. So they'll do that this first summer, but no major renovations are occurring inside either building in the first summer. We have to build all of these spaces first. So the second summer is when we will do the renovations of the existing high school fine arts area. The existing FCS classroom will get renovated to special needs in that second summer, and the existing fine arts area at the middle school will also get renovated in the second summer. The industrial technology area at the middle school, we also have that for the second summer. However, we're giving the contractor a little bit more time for that part of the project. That one we're showing is going into September because there's a lot of utility work that has to be done. And if you guys recall, that part of the project is an alternate bid. So that's an all or nothing. If the bids come in favorable and you have the budget, that work will happen, and it will just extend into the school year in order to allow the contractor a little extra time for all of the utility work. So it is going to have a phased substantial completion. We like to have one substantial completion, but that does not work out on this project because you will be in these building additions before the other areas are fully renovated. So we will see those turnover in groupings. The building additions will turn over first. Renovations of the majority of the areas will turn over second, and then that industrial technology will turn over third. So that is it in a nutshell. You can look at all the detail if you would like on the schedule. So do you have any questions? I guess my last thing is budget. I should mention that. You're all gonna ask me. At this point, we're tracking on budget. We had that alternate bid for the industrial tech. That was the big, I guess, scope increase that we've seen throughout the design of the project. The other things we've seen have been minor miscellaneous things that come up during the course of design. In the project budget, we always plan in a 5% what's called design contingency. When we planned this project 6 years ago, we didn't necessarily know what things we're gonna run into when we started design. So we always recommend that. The district has done a good job of carrying that design contingency, and then theoretically, when we get done with our design process, that money is gone and absorbed into the budget. So if we start with 14 million and we have a 5% contingency, if the project comes in, I think it's probably 14.7, that's still considered on budget because that is built into the project itself. When we go beyond that, like the industrial technology scope expanded beyond what we had originally planned, that's when we say, okay, you've got a budget problem, and that's why you guys chose the alternate bid. We feel comfortable with the number that we have in there. There's a few caveats to that, of course. We have heard that there are some trades that are experiencing material shortages, as we have seen sometimes in the past. The data centers that are being constructed in the area are going to have an impact, and we don't necessarily know what kind of impact. We don't necessarily know what kinds of materials it's going to impact. Their construction type is very different than ours, but we've heard that some things like precast panels might take longer. So we can't say 100% that it will not impact your schedule, but there's risk. it could impact cost if there's a high demand for those things. There's not really a good way for us to tell you what to set aside for that because it might happen and it might not happen. That's the situation that we're in right now, so we're just monitoring it. Our recent bids have come in really well. We've had a couple of projects bid, the 2 Cedar Rapids schools projects, which are much larger than this, but that was a good test to see kind of where inflation landed. Those came in really well under budget, and I backtracked those numbers to Eastridge Elementary just to check inflation. That was my big question. We can't compare projects apples to apples here. Renovations, additions, quite different. But inflation we can compare, and it tracks with what we have been carrying. So that made me comfortable, that made me feel good. And then we've had a couple of smaller projects bid recently that had a lot of interest. So I feel like we're gonna have good interest. It's just a matter of if other subs and suppliers have material changes. So that's where we're at with that. Do you have any words of wise wisdom?
No, be prepared for pre-cat.
Be prepared for
Because that's gonna be a bummer. That's what we gotta work on. So.
Ray, just for some of our new board members, even me, can you help explain kind of what your role is in, because we have your contract later, I think, on here. Can you help explain what you...
Oh, I'm kind of called referee.
Yeah, I was thinking bulldog for, but yeah, okay, yeah.
And also,
I keep
yes.
the projects going and try to keep all the change orders and stuff in order, and she handles most of those, but we have to negotiate. And when we do, I get involved in that. Maury does too, so.
You kind of sell yourself a little short.
Yeah.
He's also the representative for you as a district, and so when questions come up out in the field, the contractor, either something's not going according to plan, something I drew on the plans isn't working out, or we run into something really weird, like a below ground tank, something weird, they call us out. He's the first guy that's gonna come out to talk with me about it.
I usually know about it.
Sometimes he knows about it. And he'll help make decisions or provide direction. If it's something that's really big, critical, or it's something we think is gonna be a significant change to the design or what the user groups are expecting, then he does bring it to you. I would also bring it to you. We kind of do that together as a team, and then he prods the contractor. We're contracted to be on site once every 2 weeks. So he's there a lot more frequently than I am to be able to walk around and prod contractors and say, hey, I know that doesn't look like the drawings, you better call Tandy, or whatever the case might be. He's kind of your eyes and ears on the ground, and then he calls me almost maybe every day, which is good, to fill me in if there's anything unusual going on. He's the first person to notice if somebody, like a contractor, doesn't show up on the job site for a week. He's gonna be the first one to notice and give me a call to say, hey, I think we're gonna have a schedule issue. So he's really looking out for you guys. Most of the time he's hammering on the contractor, but he definitely hammers on me sometimes too. So,
I hammer both sides.
Yeah.
He does. I usually just jump a lot faster and quicker than I.
So for reference, right, when we get change orders, those are the ones that are unforeseen
Right,
stuff. You are our first line of defense as far as
right.
working it out and making sure we are.
I'm usually the first one involved, and if it's reasonable, why to keep the job moving, why I make a decision. So, and then I bring it to you. But otherwise, the day-to-day problems I handle in the field and try to keep everything moving, keep everything on a schedule and budget. Budget's more important than sometimes the schedule gets carried away. But
This project,
we have problems. Weather would be number one. Number two is materials and timing and getting them in and working with the contractor, making sure that he's doing his best to keep us rolling. We're the ones that have the tight schedule. So.
this project, because it's renovations, is likely to have more unforeseen conditions. So that is something that you're gonna run into more here than what we did on the elementary, when we have a nice open blank piece of canvas. there's a lot less unknowns. The unknowns we had on that project were other things related to development all the way around that we couldn't control. This one is more about, well, we have drawings, we were involved in the previous projects, except for the middle school is much older than any of us have been there to be involved in, but it doesn't always, we find out that they didn't always build things the way the drawings show, and we can't see through walls, we can't see through concrete, so a lot of times we will run into unforeseen conditions just because there's no way to know that they did things differently than what we would have expected, and it is likely to mean that there will be more change orders and more issues that get brought to you. We do bring you a change order once a month generally. It's rare that we would ever have 2 change orders in 1 month. Sometimes weird things happen, but usually it's 1 change order a month. And in that change order will be a series of changes. It's not usually just 1 item, it's usually a handful of items. Sometimes it's 1 item at the early part of the project, or if there's like a really big thing, it might be 1 item, but generally it's multiple items together within 1 change order. And then we usually have a snapshot of what each item was. Either Maury or Ray will provide a description of, hey, this is why this needed to happen. And then we'll be here for questions if you have questions about what came up or why decisions were made to be a certain way. Sometimes in a project we'll have a scope change request by the client, like at elementary, changing the grade configuration, meant we had to change the size of the band room. And that's an owner-driven change that results in a change order. If something like that comes up, we bring that to you as well. And sometimes there's design time if it's big, like that one was big enough, there was design time. If it's small, it's just the cost to actually have the contractor do the work. But when projects have come in low, historically, Clear Creek has decided to increase some scope here and there because you're there and there's a few things we'll run into, like, hey, can't we just fix that? We have the money still in the project, so if that comes up, we'll bring those to you as well.
Biggest thing that'll come up will be when we're doing the foundations and the utility relocations and connections. So,
Of which there are many.
Question for
this project will help.
the middle school. It's mostly the band room, and the high school is the extra industrial tech. With this schedule, have we taken into account educational disruption or the effect on programming, I guess, or we haven't gotten to that point yet?
No, I have not had a direct conversation.
For the most part, programming is not impacted in that we are not booting anyone out of a space for the year. You can have all of your classes. The only caveat to that is towards the end of the second summer, so May of 2027, we are asking that the existing fine arts in the middle school, that at least one of, I believe it's band, relocate and utilize the gymnatorium for their last couple of weeks of school. And we worked that through with administration and everyone, and that they were on board with that. That's the biggest educational disruption. The other disruption is going to be egress. We are blocking the way out of the building in both buildings. At the middle school, that's much easier to handle, and we're able to accommodate that before school starts. So there's really no issues there. At the high school, there's really no way to build that building addition without blocking some of the exits on the southwest corner of the building. And so the biggest disruption there is going to be to your activities programs in the fall. And I have to finalize some numbers that I need to give the principal and Maury to let you know what you need to cap your gymnasium occupancy at. And I looked at the previous project that we did down there when we added the gym at the south end. We actually did the same thing. We actually had to cap the occupancy in that gym during the construction of that project as well, because there's just too many people trying to exit the building and we can't eliminate any exits and have that be safe. So we had a meeting and I talked through with Maury and Tom just the ins and outs of how that works, and I just have to do some numbers calculations. It won't be, I don't think it will be a noticeable change because your existing gym can hold way more people than you probably ever have put in it before by code. And so we think it's gonna be negligible of anybody really noticing, but we do have to do that and post some signs for that year. And you can't have more than a certain number of people in the gym. Other than that, that should be the only education disruption. And then when we are finishing up these projects, at the beginning of the school year for the middle school, that industrial technology space we're renovating, we're creating a STEAM classroom and either FCS or science, it'll be up to the district on how they will use that. Those classrooms will not be available at the first portion of the school year for about a month. So if they want to have those classes, they'll have to have them in a temporary or alternate location. The middle school already has an FCS classroom, so that's not a disruption. They just get to move over to a better room in October. You don't really have the STEAM room right now either. So again, you're not losing anything, you're just missing out on a month's worth of gain of having the classroom. Those are the biggest impacts. Other than that, it's gonna be noise. And they're gonna hear things. There's gonna be construction noise, and it's gonna be different than what they've experienced in the past. High school has experienced that before with the building additions, but this is probably gonna be a little bit more significant at the middle school. Once they get the precast put up, the noise disruption will be minimal, but there will be noise disruption. Luckily, both areas, it's not a situation where you have math classes where you're doing regular testing on a regular basis. So hopefully it will be a minor inconvenience for a long-term gain.
Great. Sounds like it won't affect those scores that we look at.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. And just tell everyone it's gonna be great when it's done. So
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And Ray, thanks for coming up and introducing yourself.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
to work with you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and Abby, I think it's the first time I've seen you since
Oh,
you had to
yes.
leave, so
Abby's here.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Oswald, you're up next to talk to us about the district bonding process. I think it's the third time you'll talk to me about it, and I still don't fully understand, so this will be good.
Well, so this is just an update on some numbers and then talk about bonding capacity for upcoming bond sale. So first part of the chart just shows you added a year. It's the same chart from last year for those of you who were here before. I know we have a few new faces
Oh,
and
yes,
one
sorry.
previous.
Yeah, thank you.
So your property valuations did grow almost 15%. For the upcoming budget year. After rollback, they grew 8.25%. I'm sorry, 10.9%. I looked at general fund. So in the last 11 years, your taxable value has grown from 1.1 billion to just over 2 billion. And that's allowed you to obviously continue to fund your capital program. So. Remind you for, I heard tax statements a little bit ago. You get your assessment in March from the assessor, and that tells you in theory what the property is worth. And then Iowa applies what we call a rollback, a reduction to the value. It's a statewide calculation of residential such that residential and ag properties grow in tandem with each other and neither grows more than, I think it's 3% a year. So the rollback pulls property values back down, and so the tax that you and I pay on our homes this coming year, 44% of the assessed value. So the difference between the actual and the taxable is that rollback calculation. Your debt payments relatively level, 7.3 million a year, and so next page. Then, I got it. You got it? Okay, thanks. So, if you calculate the 405 levy, you can levy 8.45 million next year. So you have 7.3 million of debt payments, and so we've got room to add $1.1 million to $1.2 million of annual debt payments in your budget, and not raise property tax levy rate. Be the same levy rate. It's been the same levy rate for years, but it'll be the same levy rate next year as it was this year. Doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. In the past, we have talked a little bit about the statutory debt limit, and I'm here to tell you it's not a concern. So just a quick summary, your debt limit at year-end 26, so you'll have used up 71% of the debt limit. There's a typo there. Under year-end 27, it also says 71%. That's bad programming on my part. that number is actually 62%. You'll start FY '27 with with debt outstanding equal to 62% of the available limit. And so debt limit is not really an issue for the district. Update on what you've sold so far from the election. You voted 65 million. You sold bonds now on 4 different occasions, and this will be the 5th. And so to this point, you had sold 35.5 million of bonds. And this issue will be 17 million, roughly. I mean, I'm making an estimate of interest rates, so when we get the actual bond bids, we'll resize the issue to whatever it will turn out to be. So in theory, we'll have sold, but after this issue, somewhere around 53 million of the 65, leaving us obviously 12 to work with. Okay? The next page is then the assumption. So we're assuming valuation will continue to grow. We're using the 10-year average in valuation growth as an estimate. So next year, budget year 27-28, you would turn around and sell another approximately 10 million of bonds, and then the balance you would sell in 2028 for your budget year 28-29. Okay, and that would at that point wrap up your funding of the 2022 election. And I've heard commentary over the years about what's next. That's the window of time when you start to talk about what's next. So you have to think about by 20, if you're thinking about what's next, I appreciate you may not be, but if you are, by 2028, we'd have sold bonds, we should have sold all the bonds to complete this project. So by budget year 29, you would either be talking about new projects or, excuse me, or alternates that allow you to pay the bonds off early as property values continue to grow. Make sense? Okay, so what's left? You sell 17 million for this issue. To remind you, we do have a short-term loan called a BAN outstanding. We would use 7.2 million of the 17 to pay that loan off. That'll happen in June. I'm estimating kind of the bond math on whether we have bond premiums and trying to estimate fees and things. I'm coming up with about 11.3 million of spendable proceeds that you would receive at closing in June. Do the same calc for next year's issue and the year after issue, and I come up with somewhere around 23.8 million of cash that's yet to come in that would be used to pay for the projects that you and Tandy and Ray just talked about. Doing okay? Okay. So the last page then is just my cash flow, and this is certainly probably out of date. The estimated expenses, second column there from the right, are carryover from a while back. So as bids are coming in for the project, we'll be asking Shive to give us a cash flow estimate, and we'll update these calcs. I do this calc for 2 reasons. One is to try and estimate interest earnings, because you will have idle cash. And second is to make sure you have enough cash to pay for the project. Or if we have a shortfall, we know what it is and when we need cash. So your bond proceeds coming in, 26, 27, and a little bit 28. Earn a little bit of interest. You have expenses going out. And based on an assumption about what this project will cost, I'm coming up with a number of cash contribution needed from the SAVE, probably in a couple of years. So very much driven by what the actual bids are, as to how much, if any, SAVE dollars will be required. So, in terms of action items, you'll approve your budget, which includes the tax to pay this bond. So I'll be back to sell the bonds next month. I'm sorry, in May. And then we'll wrap that up. I think you have a work session next week, if I recall. So I won't be here, but one of my partners will be here to discuss something completely different, which we haven't talked about in several years. And that's refinancing of prior bonds. So rates have come down enough that we can actually start thinking about that again.
Excellent.
So you're so nice. Thank you. What questions can I answer?
Well, you mentioned the rates. Back in the day, it was huge savings. I mean, we're talking 2 or 3% or 1%. Obviously, we're way higher than today on our rates, but they're starting to come back down.
They have come, and then we started this problem in Iran. So rates have kind of bounced around since a month or so. But rates, we had a nice run early part of this year with rates coming down. If you were selling today, you'd be in the low 4% range. You know, back when we were selling bonds in the 2s.
I know, it's wonderful.
We're not there.
Okay.
But back then, we were also refinancing every 6, 7, 8 years because the rates were so low. We haven't done that since 2021, 2020, something like that. So you have a number of issues that we're kind of watching and saying, hey, this may make sense mathematically. There's a whole host of tax reasons why you don't lump the two together, which is why we're doing this discussion today and a separate discussion later about refinancing.
Right.
I'm not going to bore you with all the IRS rules.
Putting a future lens on here. So on page 3, you had the plus bond 28 after we get the cumulative 65, and that's where you say we can start talking about future project. What would be the capacity that you would have to start talking about future projects?
Oh, I haven't updated that in a while. I can update that and get that to the board.
All right.
That's a good question. I had that in my mind too.
So that prompts me, can I follow up?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Remember how we do things in Iowa with voting. Voting right now is only in November.
Yeah.
And so, you have to start at the end and then back up to decide, how do I develop what my community wants, what the scope of the projects are, get buy-in from all the patrons, all the things you have to do so that when you vote it passes. And you have to back up those months. So if I say let's say 2028, you'll be ready, it feels to me like you need to be starting discussions in 2027.
When you say 2028, is it fiscal year 2028 or like calendar year 2028?
So it'd be calendar.
Calendar, okay.
So it'd be fiscal 29.
Okay.
Good question, yeah. But you would be, if you were thinking about that, you would be having to solve for November election and when do we start planning backwards from that.
We have had, I guess probably haven't seen you to tell you, we have a facilities committee currently this year under reviewing facilities and starting to think about what's next since we last spring kind of had conversations, just with that in mind. So board, I'll just remind you that at the end of this year, we will be presented what the committee is kind of recommending. We don't have to do that, but that will give us some insight as we think towards the next projects and going into the next November then, because in 18 months or so is when that would be going on ballots.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're gonna move right into reports. If everyone's still good to keep going. First up, probably short because I don't know how much Maury has to add, but we have our buildings and grounds update. Maury here. Maury, are you hiding in the corner?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. I was like, where is Maury? Okay, so looks like mostly baseball, softball, athletic complex.
That's pretty much the lion's share of things going on. So since I wrote this report, there are a few things to add, some activity that's been going on down there. So I'll just run through my list and then add some of the things. The painting work is nearly complete with just the doors and frames left to be done down there. That'll happen after we have some of the dusty work completed, so they don't have so much prep work to do. The electrical work is nearing completion. They should be wrapping that up pretty much this week with everything. The plumbing fixtures have been installed and the permanent water service is connected. Cabinets and countertops have been installed. Bathroom partitions are currently being installed right now. And the bleacher installation's underway. They are probably about 90% complete with the baseball bleachers, and they are working on the softball set as well. So depending on whether they should be finishing up hopefully within a week with everything on the bleachers. The concrete sidewalks are ongoing, weather dependent, but they will be forming and working on trying to get those poured this week. And they should be able to finish up pretty much all the concrete work on the main complex if weather holds this week. Then they'd have some miscellaneous items to finish over at the existing baseball field. They're also working on the bullpens over at the old baseball field. They started that work today. Ceiling tile and grid has all been installed in the main concession area. So that's really looking like a completed project inside there. And then there's just some miscellaneous trim out and things like that to do in and around that area. So it's coming along good. Weather's going to be critical in the next several weeks, like any project when you're trying to finish up. So since that's the largest item on the docket, I'll take any questions that you have on that.
No?
Okay. High school and middle school additions. Tandy did a good job covering that, so I'm not going to go over anything else on that. For Clear Creek Elementary, the roof projects, we had a pre-bid meeting over there late last week. Had 4 contractors show up for the pre-bid, which is good for a roofing project of that size. So we'll be waiting for the bids on April 7th for that project. The high school track refurbishment, we've had 3 quotes come in. You all have an SBAR and recommendation there for that for tonight. Then also Park Road has been shut down just at our Oak Hill entrance, and they are working on that. So we have access from the south to both Tiffin Elementary and Oak Hill Elementary. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to drive that around the detour or whatever, but I've just had a meeting with the city and their engineers, and they're progressing as they would like to on that so far. So there's some coordination things that I'll keep working with them on that may or may not affect us during the school year. Those are things that have to be ironed out that we'll have further discussion on. But that's just a little update on that, just in case anybody was curious on what's going on there. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Yep.
Thanks, Maury. Gretchen, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you
Okay.
for the
I don't have that much to share with you guys this week, but just some things that have been going on at the high school. The boys, girls soccer team and boys and girls golf started this week. And then track has also been getting into full swing and having meets, and have just finished like their indoor season, and now are gonna go out into do their regular outdoor meets. And then some exciting things that happened in the last month or so. The girls basketball team qualified for state and got to play a game there, which was fun. And then state speech, we had 7 different groups win, and they continue to do great and win awards. And then the musical is upcoming. That'll be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and there's 4 different times you guys can come watch. And then ISAS test is coming up, just like was said before. And then a few other dates to remember are April 11th is CCA Night of Jazz. April 18th is the CCA Soul Ensemble, and then on April 20th we don't have school because that's a professional development day for staff.
Awesome. Yep. Any questions for Gretchen?
Thanks for the newspapers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did let Gretchen know that once we get through our reports, she should feel free to go if she has homework or other activities. It's going to be a long night, and she can't vote on the action items. So, and she said she's going to take me up on that. So, Yeah. All right, Mr. Davidson, I'll hand it over to
I
you.
need to talk good things about it before she goes.
Okay.
So, congrats to all our winter sports teams. There were many postseason awards given to our student athletes, which is fantastic. But I want to take a second to highlight one of those. Congrats to Gretchen on being selected for the E. Wayne Cooley You Can Award. Huge accomplishment. Here's a quote from Coach talking about Gretchen. Gretchen's a student athlete that truly cares about every other player on the team. She cheers on her teammates, helps underclassmen, and is a true senior leader in our program. Gretchen does anything asked of her on a daily basis for the betterment of the team and those around her. So credit to you, kiddo. Good work. I also wanted to just pull out spring sports season is upon us. Best of luck to all of our teams. Administrative hiring updates. I've been continuing briefing all of you on my Friday updates, but we have our middle school principal in place. We have the Oak Hill elementary position in place. We have the assistant principal and AD at the middle school in place. I had a chance to visit with the AE staff this afternoon with Catherine. We'll have an overall communication out to the community here soon on that position. And then with the movement from our high school athletic director moving into the assistant principal AD job at the middle school, of course that position has been opened up. So we are up to 21 applicants for that position as of 4 o'clock today. And that number is continuing to grow because I've seen a couple of emails, so I think it's higher than that.
I want to work here.
The Johnson County Board of Supervisors has voted no to our proposed one-year pilot for a school resource officer that would support both middle and high schools starting in the 26-27 school year. That being said, I want to publicly thank all of you for your time, energy, and effort that was put into this from our end. So thank you for that, as frustrating as that is. Negotiations went smoothly. I'm confident that that will be the new norm, even with the 2% SSA. We've offered 3% raises for the CCA staff for the upcoming school year. We'll be bringing these to you for approval at our April board meeting. We're hopeful that staff contracts will be out a day or two afterwards. And then again, just highlighting some of the things we've talked about in my Friday updates, but my focus over the past month has really been around taking a hard look at student enrollment growth. We've talked about the growth we've experienced from October 1st or October 15th through after Christmas break to pretty high number. So we're focused on maximizing our internal resources first before we move toward adding any FTEs. That's been the stance that's been communicated since before I got here. I've communicated that since starting July 1st, simply because our UAB is still at a point where we need to focus on not adding FTEs wherever possible.
Any questions for Mr. Davidson? Okay, we'll hand it over to Lori for finance report.
Okay. In my report, I just entered in a few of the upcoming dates that we have yet for budget season. We did receive the draft of our fiscal year 25 audit, which we will review administratively as well as bring that to you in April for review. Been working through fiscal year 27 insurance renewals. Our property and casualty right now is coming in at about 4.5%, which is good news. It's been much higher than that in the past. Health insurance is coming in at a 0% increase. And the other one we're working on will be our equipment breakdown insurance. And so that quote will be sent, and we'll have our estimate of what our increase will be for that. So, and insurance-wise, things are looking good. And then also working through the steps for with bond counsel and with the financial advisor for the 2026 bond issuance.
Questions for Lori? Okay. Then we have board reports. So has anyone attended any committee meetings or outside meetings that they'd like to report on? So, did you have a foundation meeting?
Yeah, well, the foundation meeting was going to be next week, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's going to conflict again if we have work session.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be tonight, but it got moved. I did go to the Johnson County Board. It was pretty short meetings, but they just talked about the increase in the valuation across the county. I think it was $1.2 billion, which is what I have in my notes. And then they talked about appeals, like 50% of those are being approved, and then like most are wait and see on property tax legislation.
So say that again about the appeals.
They
So people appealed.
Yeah, and about 50% of those were approved in the last year.
Approved meaning that the
Some
homeowner
adjustment was
won or
made.
I mean, it's 50/50.
Yeah. You pick.
Mostly homeowners, was there any businesses
There were some,
like in Iowa County?
there were some businesses, and I don't recall the rate on those. I know a few of them did go. They talked about those went to
Arbitration?
yeah. So there was a couple of those. And then the increase in salaries was 4%. That was approved. So.
Oh.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any others at Spring Riot, like library or any other?
Nothing major to report on that. I did go. Next one's coming up.
Okay. And then we just had negotiations, which Mr. Davidson already covered our negotiations meetings, so.
We had SIAC before. We had SIAC last a couple weeks ago at the high school, right?
It was a ways back.
That was ways back. Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like it was
We have
yesterday.
a next one in there.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I think that's everything for our report. Before we get into action items, if you want to go ahead and leave, feel free, Gretchen. Give you an opportunity. Are you guys, everyone good here to keep going, or do we need a brief break for anything? Okay. All right, so we're going to move right into our action items. Item A is approving a quote for Clear Creek Elementary locker upgrade. The recommendation is approval of the quote from Value Inspired Products and Service to provide and install new lockers in identified sections of Clear Creek Elementary in the amount of $48,435.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion here? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B is to approve quote for the high school track project. The recommendation is that we approve the quote to refurbish the high school track to Fisher Tracks in the amount of $397. Sorry.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or discussion here? Maury, thank you for calling out that we can't do blue at this time. But that knows that you might be thinking about it for the future. And
So I guess one question, so how long does this prolong the current track before we have to do a complete replacement?
That's a great question. So with this type of structural spray that'll go down, they'll warranty it for 5 years, but they figure you can plan on 8 years. So 5 to 8, and that will put our track into the 20+ year range. And then we'll have to take it all the way down and make any repairs sitting in the asphalt underneath and whatnot. But that's what you can expect.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
that's when it could be blue, I think. All right, any other questions on this one? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C is for the high school lighting upgrade project. The recommendation is to approve the quote from Sittler's LED Supplies to provide and install new lighting in the 2009 classrooms and hallways at the high school.
So moved.
Seconded.
Questions or discussion here? Again, a very nice S-bar. The rebate was nice to read about. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D is to approve engagement letter for professional services with Ehlers and Cooney. The recommendation is to approve the engagement letter for professional services, Series 2026A, with Ehlers and Cooney to act as disclosure counsel.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E is the resolution for issuing the GO bonds. So the recommendation is to approve resolution authorizing the issuance of approximately $17,520,000 general obligation school bonds, Series 2026A, and levying a tax for the payment thereof.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F is to approve a pay app for the CCE playground. The recommendation is that we approve final pay app number 2, Pro Platinum Construction, in the amount of $7,600 and final acceptance of the project.
Motion. Seconded.
Any questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G is to approve an amended contract for Ray Willoughby. The recommendation is to approve the amended contract for Ray Willoughby as construction representative for the completion of the middle school and high school additions.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or discussion here? Thanks to Ray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So item H will be moving to closed session. The recommendation is to move to closed session as provided in section 21.51A of the Open Meetings Law to review or discuss records that are required or authorized to be kept confidential.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we will now pause the live stream, and those of us in this closed session will move to Mr. Davidson's office in the back. So now we're going to move on to item I, which is to approve reduction in force or RIF of Director of School Support position. The recommendation is to approve the reduction in force or RIF to the position of Director of School Support for the 2026-27 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, and before we go to a vote, I'll just remind everyone, aye is that you're affirming the approving the reduction, nay is for if you're not. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now move to item J, to move to closed session as authorized by section 21.51I of the Open Meetings Law. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. On to item K, which is to approve resolution for directing expenditures of the school flexibility account and tag funds. Recommendation is to approve resolution for directing expenditures of the school flexibility account and talented and gifted funds. A motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion here?
Is this the first time we're doing this transfer, especially for the tag since it's that big?
We did it 23, maybe, a couple years ago.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item L is to approve the 26-27 Champions Agreement. The recommendation is to approve the 26-27 Champions Agreement for before and after school programming for district families. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, questions here?
This, so I read this, the locations, are all these new locations or we've had this contract before and it's just coming up for renewal? I don't remember us having summer programs at buildings.
Yeah, we've had, to my understanding, we didn't add anything new. The changes we made were just to the
Increase the-
CCA building, and then we increased each building from $50 to $75.
Okay.
That seemed appropriate. I didn't by any means want to gouge them, but it seemed like the prices are going up, that 50 hadn't been touched, so 75 seemed adequate, and they were comfortable with that.
And then I'll just say, I was like looking at, I was like, wait, Clipper Virtual Academy. At first I thought it was still the CCA, and I'm like, we don't have a CCA, but
This was school year coming up.
yeah, it's the school year coming up, and it is for the TIFF, like the kids who go to pre-K at Tiffin can then go to a Champions program at the Clipper, in the basement of the Clipper Virtual Academy. So you,
Yeah, and they house kids during the school day as well. So there's the potential that they would have that during the school day, like they do now, in the basement of the current CCA building. And then be able to provide services at Tiffin Elementary, like that wraparound.
So during the summer, we don't have any virtual programming, meaning we don't have students that are enrolled in the virtual academy coming to. Okay.
no, but even during the school year,
We will, they'll still be down in the basement.
the preschoolers from Tiffin
Yeah.
building, because like Amana and Clear Creek have preschool full day listed as options.
Yep.
And so I was wondering where the Tiffin preschool kids go if they want Champions at the half of the day that's not preschool for them, and it'll be over to the Clipper Virtual Academy building in the basement.
Same space.
Same space they're in now.
Space in that building, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
they are happy with that.
Okay, so we moved them academically to go to Tiffin Elementary, but for childcare purposes, they can still use the basement. Okay.
And they that's what they wanted. They like the space.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item M is to establish the public hearing date for the high school, middle school projects. Recommendation is to establish the public hearing date as April 15th, 2026 for the high school and middle school projects.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item N is to accept a donation from Fame. The recommendation is to accept the $6,188.01 donation from Fame for the purchase of band uniforms.
Second.
Thanks to Fame for that lovely donation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item O is to approve board policy revisions. The board policy revisions are for 204 Code of Ethics, 206.03 Secretary Treasurer, and 804.05 Stop Prescription Medication Supply.
Second.
Any questions or discussion here? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item P is to approve board policy review. The board policies under review are 205 board member liability, 206.01 president, 206.02 vice president.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any questions or discussion here? I noticed B like gets off quite light compared to me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item Q is to approve board policy at the first reading. And we have two. So 40207, employee notification of arrest, criminal charge, or complaint of child abuse. And 40207E1, the employee notification of arrest, criminal charge, or complaint of child abuse form.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or discussion here? These are new ones being pushed out. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item R is to approve consent items on the agenda. The recommendation is to approve the consent items as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Any question or discussion here? Of course, thank you to the gifts and donations from individuals. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we're on to our discussion items. So first, follow-up topics. I guess one follow-up topic I did want to tell you guys about, I said that we were gonna work to have a board-to-board foundation to school board work session. We had thrown out the May date. The May date doesn't work well for the foundation, so it'll be the June work session. That we will have that instead. That was my only follow-up topic. Does anybody have anything else follow-up topic-wise they want to talk about? Okay. So the next meeting topics. Next week we have our work session on Wednesday night. So somebody else than Mr. Oswald will be here from Piper Sandler to talk about bonding capacity with us. And then we'll also have our superintendent evaluation. That's the kind of yearly one, the one we've been working to. It's a closed session. Trent will be here from Glenmeyer Leadership Services. He'll have the kind of culminating information from the 360 review for us to go over. We have all the documentation from Mr. Davidson. I do ask that you carefully review that documentation ahead of time. Throughout the year, it's more of like progress monitoring, but this is the kind of year end, even though it's not the year end, but the year end review for Mr. Davidson. And so just ask that you take that time to go through those documents. We'll also then, as part of our work session, go into an exempt session after we adjourn. And that's where we'll be able to talk about some budgetary and salary considerations that we've talked about in the negotiation committee process. Because those will come up for vote in the April meeting. And so we want a chance to talk about those finances, and we can do so in exempt session since it's a lot of administrator and other people's salaries and stuff like that. Okay. So quite a few things we talked about tonight will be up, that we've referenced will be up on the April meeting for voting, but you should be having conversations and getting information continually pushed out ahead of time. Anything else that anybody feels would be pertinent for our meetings the next month or two?
So this is the item B said next meeting topics. That's our work session coming up next week.
Yep.
Okay, not the.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where we talk about if we weren't gonna have a work session.
Yeah. We have one, but maybe not in May. Yeah. I do want to remind everyone of graduation. It's just around the corner. The date is Sunday. Do you know, Kale? 24th? It's a Sunday.
24th is the Sunday, yeah.
The 24th?
Oh, 24th is.
Memorial Day? Yes, okay. Or not Memorial Day, the day before.
1 to 3.
1 to 3.
1 o'clock to start.
So if you haven't been on the board before, we try to all go, and we'll be on stage during that. And so just dress nice. So if you can't attend, there was a year I was in a wedding, my first year I couldn't, that's fine too. But I want to make sure you know about that. We'll also get an invite, I think probably soon, for the senior awards at school. And if you can't make it, that's okay.
It's Tuesday, May 12th at 6:30 p.m. They're gonna move it tonight.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it was May 5th,
Yeah.
Lori, do you have those on the school board calendar or the district?
6 p.m.
This is the first I've heard of these.
Why'd that get moved?
I don't have them on. I'll put them on.
12th, May 12th.
May 12th.
Yep.
But that just
Start at
moved.
6:30.
Right? It moved.
I don't know, but it's what I have in my calendar.
That's what I've always had. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, let me check. Because I'm presenting.
Yeah, in the
So I'll-
past that was during the day, which made it harder to attend.
You wanna come on the 12th?
So you should go then.
So for
I'll add it to the board calendar if you check.
Wait a
these
minute,
out.
I think you're right.
That's a fun event.
You're
to
right.
see some
May 12th.
celebration and recognize our seniors and what they've done. And then, yeah, there's musical, there's track stuff coming up. Those were the main things that I was thinking of end of year. Oh, we had it written down. This was the other thing. I would like everyone to think about, for July, having kind of a board retreat. not all day. We won't do trust falls, but I just think July is a good time to kind of reset ourselves for the next school year. It lines up well for us to think about our district goals for the year. What messaging are we trying to get out to our staff, our students, our communities? That's also when we can really dig into goals that we'd like Mr. Davidson to be working on. We'll come out of superintendent evaluation with like, here's priority areas, but then he has time then to come up with, here's how I want to go about that. And I think just kind of get together as a group and say, what do we want the next year to look like? So July seems like a good time. It's usually light on meeting things, and so it could be a work session. We could maybe do it the meeting nights. We could just approve financial stuff, but really dig into some goals and plans for the next year. So as we get closer, maybe next month or May, we'll talk about exact date, but I wanted to put it out there.
Cool.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I'd like to do the honors tonight.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned.